Commander Vexer stood at the bridge of the Dark Spear, his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the gleaming white vessel drift through the void. The ship's hull bore the universal medical symbol, a red cross that seemed to mock him with its very presence. Mercy's Light, the human hospital ship, represented everything he despised about their species. "Look at them," he growled, mandibles clicking in contempt. "A warship-sized vessel dedicated to healing. What a waste of resources." Lieutenant Commander Kara Wren shifted uncomfortably at her tactical station. "Sir, the vessel is currently treating wounded from the Senta conflict. There are over 2,000 patients aboard, including civilians from 12 different species." Vexer waved a dismissive hand. "And that is precisely why humans will never dominate the galaxy, Kara. They squander their technological prowess on compassion." He spat the last word like poison. Through the viewscreen, he watched small transport ships docking and departing from Mercy's Light, each one carrying more wounded to be treated by advanced human medical technology that could be used for warfare, conquest, greatness. "Sir," Senior Officer Blake Chen interrupted, "our long-range scanners indicate the hospital ship is operating at maximum capacity. They've converted their cargo bays into additional treatment wards." "Of course they have," Vexer sneered. "Humans always stretch themselves thin to help others. Tell me, Blake, what do they gain from this? What resources do they collect? What territories do they conquer?" Blake Chan's four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of discomfort among his species. "They gain nothing material, Commander, but they forge diplomatic relationships." "Relationships?" Vexer slammed a fist on the command chair's armrest. "The galaxy isn't built on relationships. It's built on power. And right now, that ship represents the greatest concentration of vulnerable beings in this sector." A cold silence fell over the bridge. Kara Wren's copper-scaled skin paled visibly. "Commander, you can't be suggesting." "I can. And I am." Vexer's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Think of the message it would send. Humanity's great symbol of mercy, reduced to atoms. They would learn that their compassion is a weakness. A fatal one." Sir Blake Chen stepped forward, his ceremonial rank chains jingling. "With all due respect, attacking a hospital ship violates every interstellar convention. The political fallout." "Politics?" Vexer barked a laugh. "Politics is for species too weak to take what they want. Humans have barely been spacefaring for 2 centuries. What can they possibly do to us?" He turned to face his crew fully, drawing himself up to his full height. The stark bridge lighting cast sharp shadows across his ceremonial battle scars. "Humanity needs to learn its place in the galaxy. They're not some benevolent elder race. They're children, playing at being saviors." "Commander," Kara Wren's voice trembled slightly, "there are other Dominion ships in range. They'll witness." "Good." Vexer's mandibles spread in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Let them witness. Let them see what happens when species forget that the galaxy runs on strength, not kindness." He could sense the mounting horror among his bridge crew. Even members of his own species shifted uneasily at their stations. Their discomfort only fueled his conviction. This was why the Dominion had grown soft, too much concern for diplomatic consequences, too much worry about conventions and treaties. "Weapons Officer THCK, he called out. "Target their primary medical bay. I want this to be quick, but I want the humans to know exactly what we're destroying. Target their hope." THCK's hands hovered over the weapons console, trembling. "Sir, there are children in the pediatric ward." "That's an order, Officer THCK. Or would you prefer to be relieved of duty?" The weapons officer swallowed hard, then began inputting targeting coordinates. Around the bridge, other officers stared at their consoles, unable to meet each other's eyes. They all knew they were about to cross a line that had held firm through centuries of interstellar conflict. Vexer felt only satisfaction. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them wrestle with their consciences. In time, they would understand. This was the moment the Dominion would reassert itself as a true power in the galaxy. Not through grand battles or planetary conquests, but by striking at the very heart of human ideology. Sir Blakechin made one final attempt. The humans have shown remarkable advancement in just 2 centuries of spaceflight. Perhaps we should. Silence. Vexor's roar echoed off the bridge walls. I've made my decision. Humanity will learn that their compassion makes them vulnerable. And the galaxy will remember this as the day the natural order was restored. He turned back to the view screen, watching Mercy's light continue its peaceful rotation. Soon, very soon, that pristine white hull would bloom with fire, and humanity would finally understand the true nature of the cosmos. Weapons locked on target, Commander, FX announced, voice barely above a whisper. Fire. The Dark Spear's primary beam lanced out across space, a brilliant purple streak against the void. Time seemed to slow as the energy bolt approached Mercy's light. On nearby ships, sensor operators stared in horror at their readings, unable to believe what they were witnessing. The first hit struck the medical bay directly. The pristine white hull cracked like an egg, atmosphere venting in a spectacular plume. Emergency force fields snapped into place, but Vexor was already barking his next order. Target their engines. No escape. Around the Dark Spear, other ships were broadcasting urgent messages. This is the Centauri vessel Starbite to Dominion warship, cease fire immediately. You are attacking a medical vessel. Relian command to unknown aggressor, stand down or face immediate response. By the Great Mothers, gasped Blakechin, watching the sensor readings. Sir, there are 15 different species vessels moving to intercept. Let them come, Vexor snarled. They'll be too late. Fire again. The second blast caught Mercy's light's port engine. The massive ship began to list, emergency lights flashing along its hull. Escape pods launched desperate medical staff trying to evaluate their most critical patients. On the Relian flagship Dawn Treader, Admiral Kixes watched in stunned disbelief. Get me visual on their medical bay. Now. The image that appeared on her screen would haunt her for decades. Through the twisted wreckage, medical staff of various species rushed to move patients. Human doctors sealed emergency pressure suits onto wounded Centauri children. A Relian nurse carried 2 Androman infants, trying to reach an escape pod. All ships. Open emergency channels for escape pod retrieval. Kixes ordered. Priority 1 medical response. And someone get me Earth Command. Back on the Dark Spear, Kara Wren's scales had turned almost white. Sir, they're broadcasting emergency pleas. They're begging for time to evaluate critical care patients. Vexor's mandibles spread wide. No mercy for Mercy. Target their central core. Finish this. Then, alarms blared. Sir. Kara Wren's voice cracked with fear. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Massive energy readings. Vexor spun toward the tactical display. From where? She swallowed. Everywhere, sir. They're coming out of quantum tunnels all around us. The space around the dying hospital ship was lighting up. What had once appeared to be empty void now swarmed with human warships more than Vexor had ever seen in one place. But these were not the simple, unassuming vessels humanity typically fielded. These ships were darker, angular, bristling with weapons so advanced that his tactical officer whimpered in fear. Impossible, Vexor whispered. They're primitives. They waste their resources on healing. A new voice cut across all communication channels, a human female, cold as the void itself. This is Admiral Sarah Hawthorne of the Earth Vengeance Fleet. You targeted our mercy. Now you will face our wrath. The transmission cut off. No ultimatum. No demands. Just silence. Vexor held his breath, waiting for the humans to speak again, to make threats, to posture. But the quantum black warships simply held position, their weapon ports open but not yet firing. Sir Blake Chen's voice quavered. "We're receiving data packets from the other alien vessels. They're withdrawing all diplomatic personnel from Dominion space." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as ship after ship activated their FTL drives, vanishing into the void. Now, only the human fleet remained alongside the burning wreckage of Mercy's Light. The silence stretched, broken only by the occasional burst of static from dying emergency beacons. "Commander, the humans are broadcasting something on all frequencies," Kara Ren said softly. "Put it through," Vexer ordered, forcing his voice steady. It wasn't a message. It was sound a slow, steady rhythm that took him a moment to recognize. A human heartbeat. The rhythmic beep of a medical monitor tracking a patient's life signs. But this one was slowing. Weakening. Dying. Sir Blake Chen's ceremonial rank chains rattled as he jerked in surprise. Multiple quantum signatures detected at every major Dominion world. They're just appearing in orbit. Hundreds of ships. On the tactical display, more of the angular black vessels materialized throughout Dominion space, positioning themselves silently above key population centers. No demands. No communication. Just the sound of that dying heartbeat, playing across all frequencies. "Give me Earth command," Vexer demanded. "They're not responding, sir," Kara Ren reported. "None of the human vessels are responding to hails. We're receiving transmissions from our colony worlds." The messages played automatically, filling the bridge with panicked voices. "Central Command, human warships have appeared above New Sanctus. They're over the capital. Thousands of them. The humans are broadcasting medical logs from Mercy's Light. They're showing us what we did." Vexer's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of mounting stress. How did they deploy so quickly? Where were they hiding these ships? Sir Blake Chen's voice was barely a whisper. "Message coming in from the Dominion High Council. They're ordering all military vessels to stand down. They say the humans have shown them something. Files from their database. Some kind of historical record." Without warning, the images began playing on the bridge screens. Earth's history. Not the sanitized version taught in xenology classes, but raw, unfiltered recordings of their wars. Their weapons. Their calculated retribution when pushed too far. Tactical analysis. Vexer snapped. Kara Ren's fingers flew over her console. "Sir, these ships, they're beyond anything in our database. The energy readings suggest weapons technology at least 3 centuries beyond our most advanced systems. And their quantum drives, sir, they've achieved point-to-point teleportation. They can bypass all our defenses." "Impossible. They're barely out of their own star system." "No, sir," Blake Chen corrected quietly. "They chose to stay in their system. They chose to build hospital ships instead of warships. They chose mercy until we proved we didn't deserve it." The dying heartbeat stopped. The silence that followed was deafening. "New transmission," Kara Ren announced. "Text only." The message appeared on every screen in Dominion space simultaneously. "You considered our mercy a weakness. Our compassion a flaw. You believed that because we choose to heal, we cannot harm. You were wrong. Mercy's Light carried 2,342 patients. 112 medical staff. In exactly 1 hour, we will demonstrate the difference between those who choose not to harm and those who cannot harm at all." Vexer sank into his command chair, finally understanding. The humans hadn't built their civilization on healing because they were weak. They had built it on healing because they were so terrifyingly strong that they could afford to. Sir Blake Chen reported, his voice hollow. "Our long-range sensors are detecting something strange. The human ships, they're arranging themselves in a pattern." On the tactical display, the black vessels shifted position slowly, methodically. They formed a shape above every Dominion world. A red cross. The symbol of mercy's light. But this time, it didn't represent salvation. The final message from the humans was brief. 45 minutes remaining. We suggest you spend them evaluating your medical facilities. We would not want you to accuse us of targeting hospitals. The countdown began. 30 minutes, announced a calm human voice across all channels. Be advised, quantum containment fields are now active. No further FTL travel will be permitted within Dominion space. On the Dark Spear's bridge, alarms blared as their quantum drive went dark. They were trapped. Commander Kara Ren's voice cracked. New signatures detected. They're coming out of Mars. The tactical display lit up as massive structures emerged from beneath the red planet's surface: orbital rings, shipyards, weapon platforms that dwarfed anything the Dominion had ever built. All perfectly camouflaged until this moment. Neptune as well. Blakechen reported. The gas giant mining platforms, they're transforming. Through the view screen, Vexer watched in horror as what they had believed to be simple resource extraction stations unfolded, revealing vast arrays of weapons that made his tactical officer physically recoil from her readings. Those aren't mining platforms, Kara Ren whispered. They're fortress stations. The humans had built their military infrastructure in plain sight, disguised as civilian facilities. A new class of vessel emerged from Jupiter's atmosphere: massive ships with hulls rippling like liquid, phasing in and out of visibility. Quantum phase dreadnoughts, Blakechen breathed. They crack planetary crusts like eggs. The humans, they hid them inside gas giant storms. Admiral Hawthorne's voice returned, still eerily calm. 20 minutes. Be advised, we are now deploying our secondary containment grid. Across Dominion space, points of light connected the human ships, forming an energy barrier and artificial quantum boundary, rewriting local spacetime. They were sealing the Dominion inside a bubble of altered physics. The human fleets completed their formations. The red crosses burned above every Dominion world, their meaning now unmistakable. The final countdown began. 10 seconds. You assumed our mercy was weakness. The human warships aligned their reality-shattering weapons. Allow us to demonstrate why you were wrong. The arrays fired. In that moment, Vexer understood true power. The quantum shears did not devastate their targets, they edited them from existence with surgical precision. Military bases, weapon platforms, shipyards, all erased with the same care a surgeon uses to excise a tumor. Report, he whispered, though he already knew the answer. Sir Kara Ren's voice trembled. 87% of our military infrastructure is gone. Not destroyed, just gone. The humans, they removed everything military while leaving civilian structures untouched, even when they were in the same building. On the Rillian flagship Dawn Treader, Admiral Kix watched in stunned silence. By the first light, she breathed. They're not just precise, they're selective. Their weapons can distinguish between military and civilian targets at the quantum level. The human ships moved with terrible purpose, their black holes flowing like liquid shadow. Each target disappeared with clockwork efficiency, no collateral damage, no civilian casualties, just the systematic removal of everything the Dominion had built for war. Witnessing vessels, be advised. Admiral Hawthorne's voice was cold and clear. What you are observing is humanity operating at less than 10% of our true military capacity. We trust this demonstration is sufficient to explain why we prefer to build hospitals. On the Enran vessel Light of Dawn, Captain Zena's tentacles twisted in shock. They're not fighting a war, she murmured, recording her observations. They're performing surgery on reality itself. Every strike is calculated to remove threat capability while preserving civilian life. This isn't combat. This is human medicine applied to warfare. The quantum shear arrays continued their work. Dominion warships simply ceased to exist, their crews deposited safely but unconscious on nearby worlds. Defense stations vanished, their civilian workers untouched. Even personal weapons dissolved from soldiers' hands, leaving them unharmed but helpless. Commander Blake Chan's 4 eyes were wide with terror. They're broadcasting something new. Medical logs from their quantum weapons. The data scrolled across their screens. Each weapon had been designed by doctors, calibrated by surgeons. The quantum shears didn't destroy, they excised, like a scalpel removing diseased tissue while preserving healthy cells. On the Dark Spear's bridge, Vexer watched his empire being systematically disarmed by a species that had turned medicine into a weapon of war. The humans hadn't built their civilization on healing because they were weak. They had done it because they were so powerful that healing was the only challenge left worthy of their skills. "Sir," Kara Wren announced, her voice hollow. "New transmission. Text only." The message appeared on Vexer's command screen. "Commander Vexer, your actions caused the deaths of 412 patients aboard Mercy's Light. 307 medical staff. 889 children. We have removed your capacity to wage war. Now we will demonstrate our capacity for justice." The Dark Spear shuddered as a quantum field enveloped it, not a weapon this time, but a containment bubble. "This vessel will be preserved," Admiral Hawthorne's voice returned, as a reminder. "Your bridge crew will be evaluated. But you, Commander, have an appointment in our medical bay." Vexer felt cold fear grip his spine. "Medical bay?" "Yes. You see, we've developed some fascinating quantum surgical techniques. We can edit tissue with the same precision we edit spacetime. Your body will survive. Your mind will remain intact. But you will spend the rest of your natural life experiencing every moment of pain you inflicted on our patients." A pause. "Not as punishment. As treatment." Her voice turned almost gentle. "After all, we're healers." Through the view screen, Vexer watched the last of the Dominion's military might fade from existence. The human ships hung in formation, their dark hulls now seeming less like weapons and more like medical instruments, precise, sterile, efficient. On a dozen worlds, other species observers documented what they witnessed. The reports all carried the same warning. Never mistake humanity's preference for healing as a sign of weakness. They choose to save lives because they have mastered the art of ending them. A new voice cut across all channels. Dr. Laura Chen, one of the survivors of Mercy's Light. "Commander Vexer, your quantum surgery is scheduled to begin in 5 minutes." A pause. "Don't worry. We'll take excellent care of you. After all, that's what we do. We heal. We help. We save lives." A final breath. "But today you're going to learn why the most dangerous beings in the universe are the ones who know exactly how bodies work and choose not to use that knowledge for harm." The quantum transport beam engaged. Vexer finally understood. Humanity hadn't built hospitals instead of weapons. They had turned their healing into warfare. Their mercy into judgment. The last thing he saw before the transport took him was the wreckage of Mercy's Light, still broadcasting its distress signal. A reminder that humans would cross the galaxy to heal a single child or remove an empire from existence with surgical precision. They were healers, yes. And that made them the most terrifying warriors in the galaxy. 10 years later, the memorial station Mercy's Promise rotated slowly in the same coordinates where Mercy's Light had made its last stand. Its pristine white hull bore the same red cross, but now, that symbol carried new meaning throughout the galaxy. Admiral Sarah Hawthorne stood at the observation deck, watching medical ships from a dozen species dock and depart. Each vessel now carried quantum shielding, freely provided by humanity. No one had dared attack a hospital ship since the day Earth revealed its true nature. Admiral Laura Chen approached, her medical whites contrasting with Hawthorne's black uniform. "The new Galactic Medical Code has been ratified. All species have signed." Hawthorne nodded, watching Aurelian medical frigate launch. "Unanimous agreement?" "Yes." Even the Dominion successor states signed immediately. Laura smiled slightly. Amazing how diplomatic everyone becomes when they understand the consequences. The new code was simple. Any attack on medical vessels or facilities would be considered an attack on humanity itself. Earth would respond. Not with war. With surgery. Precise. Calculated. Irresistible. "How is our patient?" Hawthorne asked. Commander Vexer continues his treatment. His quantum-locked nervous system ensures he experiences every moment of pain he caused. The medical staff suggests another 50 years should be sufficient for full rehabilitation. Through another window, they could see the quantum defense platforms that now protected medical ships throughout known space, black, angular shapes that looked more like surgical instruments than weapons. A reminder of humanity's promise and its capability. In the distance, a memorial light burned, a quantum beacon marking the exact coordinates where Mercy's light had made its final stand. Not a monument to defeat, but a reminder of the day the galaxy learned why humans devoted so much of their strength to healing. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's mercy wasn't a weakness to exploit. It was a choice made by beings so powerful they had to consciously restrain themselves. A species that could edit matter from existence but chose to heal instead. Attack their mercy, and they would respond with surgical precision that made war look primitive. In the end, that was humanity's greatest victory, not the day they revealed their power. The day they convinced the galaxy that healing was the greater strength.